So the Iranian civilization, by any of those kind of broad-based expansions of and escalations. But the negotiations here have been a kind of almost a casebook in how not to negotiate. So it's not surprising that the ceasefire is fragile. You have no actual negotiation going on between the two parties. You have no real trust built up between them. The last two negotiations, the United States was in with Iran. It essentially started bombing Iran in the middle of those negotiations. So it's not surprising that even though there does seem to be some kind of an agreement, it's very fragile, and it's probably going to take a while to work out.
The president indicating tonight that this is kind of well along on things that possibly could be agreed on. It seems like the 10-point plan that Iran has talked about implies Iran control over the Strait of Hormuz, not just in this 2-week period, but afterward. This conflict has shifted from concern over Iran's nuclear program to let's get the Strait of Hormuz open, and you don't hear a lot about Iran's nuclear program now.
So you've hit the nail on the head. This is the single biggest strategic shift that's taken place and strategic loss for the United States and its allies. What this war has done is handed Iran a weapon that is far more usable than nuclear weapons, which is the Strait of Hormuz, choking off global oil supplies, essentially disrupting the global economy. And what they have realized is they have this weapon, they can use it, they can turn it on and off without will, and anything that institutionalizes it means that at this point the United States and its Gulf allies are in a sense hostage to Iranian good graces in order to get their product out.
So could there be a deal in which Iran remains in control of the Strait of Hormuz?
It seems like Iran will be very reluctant to give up that power and that authority. And just to give you a sense of what a big loss this is, Anderson, the United States' first military actions in 1799 were about freedom of navigation, the so-called quasi-war with France, then the war with the Barbary pirates. That was all about freedom of navigation. Since then, the United States has fought for and tried to maintain the principle of freedom of navigation. As the global superpower, that has been absolute. We had in 1979 the legislation passed, the freedom of navigation program. That is what is being given up here. The idea that Iran can control one of the key choke points of the world economy flies in the face of the whole basic responsibility the U.S. had. And as you say, this was not an issue. For 47 years of tension with the U.S. and Iran never closed the Strait of Hormuz. So the United States and Israel have somehow handed Iran a weapon at the end of this that they never had. And as you said, the nuclear program is not even in the 10 points.
So if Iran remains building a nuclear program or the capabilities to have a nuclear device and then gets control of the Strait of Hormuz, they would end up in a better situation than they were before this.
Right. So they have then